Hey, I am Asad. I am a mixing and mastering engineer based in Indonesia. So today we're gonna breaking down a mix from DotAveBoys featuring RB3, the song called Just Once Again. So let's hear how it sounds first.
Baby, let me do it, let me give you my love and my heart. You're the only one I'm thinking of. Hello? Hey, baby. Wait, what? Oh, shit. No, see, but what happened was No, baby, let me explain to you. What I was trying to tell you is that No, see, wait. When we fell in love, girl, I knew it would last through time. Somehow I let love slip away. How could I be so blind to let you leave me here, upset and broken hearted? All I ask of you is one more chance. Just let me do your way. My heart won't let me stop until I feel your life with all of my love. One more chance to prove to you. Let me make sweet love to you. We'll make sweet love all through the night. Girl, I got to have you in my life. Your precious love was so good. I took it for granted. If you'll come back to me, girl, I'll give the love you always needed. As empty as the ocean's breeze. That's how I feel without you here with me. All I ask is one more chance to let me give my love to you and fill your life with all of my sweet love all through the night. Girl, just let me in your life. Just one more chance to prove to you all the things you know I'm through. One more chance to prove to you. One more chance. Let me. Let me give you my love and my heart. You're the only one I'm thinking of. Hello? Hello? Hey, hello?
My workflow, I always organize all the tracks and route all of the same elements into one group. So like you can see here, I have folder and also a bus called drums. It contains all of the drums tracks. So here the kick, it's the kick bus for kick in and the kick out. Also the snare, you can see snare top and bottom. I route them into one snare bus, and it's the same with the rest of the drum tracks. All the toms go into the toms bus, and overheads here contains hats, hi-hats, overheads left and overhead right. So after I organize all the tracks based on their types, so the drums goes to the drums bus, and all the bass go into the bass bus, and all the guitars, piano, strings, and also the brass section here. We got the brass section at the end of the songs, and then all the vocals. So that's my workflow. And before I start mixing, I usually check the technical issues if there's any, like time, alignment, also fixing pops and clicks and vocals usually. So after I deal with all of that problems, then I can safely go into the mixing phase, mixing stage. And let's see. Here's the drums. Let's start from the overheads here. So we got hi-hats, overhead left and right. Here I think I'm just using these suits to make the upper mid-range a little bit more relaxed, so not fatiguing to the ears. It's the same left and right. And then for the hi-hats, I also use Soothe and a little bit of shaping here. Um, I cut this low mid area around 750 hertz and 7K. So this were the harshness of the hi-hats, and then just add a little bit of air for the hi-hats. And then on the overheads bus, I use Pro C from Fat Filter. Here I deal with the snare because I feel like snare is a little bit too loud in these overheads tracks. So we didn't need that. We want the focus on the snare comes from the snare track itself. So the most important thing from the overheads that we we need is the cymbals especially, and also the whole kit. So here, let's hear it without the processing in the bus. Let's see where the drum starts. So yeah, we can hear the snare is really loud. So here, the Pro C are keeping the snare a bit lower. So we control the dynamics of the snare in the overheads tracks. Yeah, it's subtle, around 3 dB of gain reduction. And then here's another treatment on the overheads. Before. After. Yeah, just removing some areas that I didn't like, that add a bit of boxiness here, I guess, in the 800s, and just reducing more of the harshness area and controlling the high end. So yeah, and then I just add this ambience using Valhalla Room, and then Hall Reverb using Valhalla Vintage Verb. So I use this to add sense of space and a bit of glue with everything. So you can see I put these ambience and Hall Verb parallel tracks as an effects to almost all the tracks. So you can see it here on the overheads. We got some on the snare, toms, and guitars, piano strings. Yeah, basically almost everything. The brass got their own reverb insert on the bass channel, but we're going to take a look at it later. So that's from the overheads. And let's go into the kick and snare. Here, we got kick in and kick out. So let's solo the kick in. So yeah, here I got the stamps from Reggie, and he got it from the engineer who records the song, I believe. And I can hear that it's already been gated, so it's clean. So I don't need to put a gate on this kick in and kick out. Yeah, you can still hear a little bit of the cymbal split there, but just a little bit, and I think that's not a problem. So I just put this Pro Q3 to clean up some of the mid-range buildup, and also on the kick out. So here, without any processing for the kick in, and here's the kick out. Yeah, so huge build up in the low mid area. So we want to keep the kick to have the low end power So we want to focus on those area and just cut this 155 area. And then on the bus, I use this SSL channel stereo from Waves to add a bit more of the high end and just cut this area frequency that sounds plasticky, and then add more low end power around 69 hertz, and let's hear how it sounds. Before, yeah, you can hear a lot of low end comes from enforcement comes from this channel strip, and then this mix tool is just to adjust the gain. I could do it here, but yeah, I think it's just sometimes I just love to use this gain tool. So here in Prison Studio, we can use mix tool. So I like to keep my faders mostly on zeros. So sometimes I use automation from these inserts or from the fader itself. So we got more resolution by setting all the faders at zero or near zero. Okay, so let's move on. After the mix tool, I use this limiter just to catch those peak after. So here in this SSL channel strip, I also compress the kicks, so you can see it here. So the gain reduction is around 3 to 6 decibels with 3 to 1 ratio, fastest release, and slow attack. So just 3 dB of gain reduction. And then this limiter just acts as a, you can say it as a safe net. So it controls the dynamic, especially the peak of the kick. So it's not going really wild. And then after the kick, let's go to snare. So here snares also, I think it's cleaned up, it's gated. Yeah, you hear it with the reverb from the FX channel. So let's turn off all the processing. Yeah, so that's the raw snare top, gated, and here's the snare bottom, and we got a little bit of kick there, but I think that's not a problem. I love a little bit of kick bleed in the snare bottom. Sometimes I clean it up, sometimes I don't, depends on the situation. So here I just left it as it is. And the first treatment I use in this snare bus is using this transient designer, just to make the snare sounds have more punch, have more attack. So it sounds like the drummer hits the drum a bit more powerful than the actual recordings. So before, yeah, so we got more of the attack and the punch from the lower end and the high end. And in the SSL channel, just enforce the tone of the snare, a bit more high end, and adding some boxiness, and also adding just a tiny bit of body around 200 hertz, and also compression here. Let's hear it. Yeah, we love that punchy snare sound. So we know that the drums have the highest dynamic range, right? It can peak around -6 to -3, while the RMS stays around maybe -14 to 12. So it's we got a lot of dynamic range there with high peak on the drums. So to on percussive materials, I prefer to use clipper. Sometimes I use limiter, just a tiny bit. Like you can see here on the kick, I prefer to use limiter, not clipper, because limiter sounds cleaner. And clipper, here I want to take advantage of the saturation, just a little bit. It adds a little bit of distortion on the snare and make it sounds richer. And also we got the advantage to add more perceived loudness. So we can add more RMS value without adding the peak value. So we just shaved off those peak with this clipper. And then, yeah, just mix tool, the same with the cake. I just use this as a gain tools. So before reaching this fader, but you can also see here, I balance it with the others. So I just turn down the fader a little bit on the snare. So here without the reverb, with reverbs, yeah, just reverb, just add a sense of space and make it bigger than life. And so let's go to the toms. Yeah, toms got nothing on their own channel. So I just process the toms directly on the bus using this L1 limiter from Cornef Audio. This limiter is awesome. It's basically the same like this L1 limiter from Waves, but it comes with more controls, so you can tweak it a little bit more than the L1 from the Waves. So you can go here, stereo, dual mono, or mid-side side. Here choose dual mono mode. So it's going to react differently based on the energy between the left and right channel. So if you've got toms on the right, it will not limit the left side. It will only limit the right. So yeah, just keeping the dynamics between the left and right individually with using dual mono. And yeah, that's just it for the toms. Let's see how it sounds. Yeah, the reason why I don't use any processing here in the toms is because it already sounds good. So yeah, props to the recording engineer. Yeah, tell me that doesn't sound good. That sounds really good. Maybe he processed a little bit of the toms. I don't know, but it sits really well with the others. So I only use this limiter as to control the peak of the tom, so it's not going wild and picking out louder than the other drums element. So yeah, that's all the drums, and all go to this drums bus. First, I use True Iron from Gazrock. It sounds really subtle. It basically emulates different transformers. So here I just use it preset from the drums glue, and maybe I just tweak a little bit of it. So let's hear it. Sir. Yeah, it's subtle, but you can hear that all of the elements a little bit more glued together. You can feel the thickness of the low mid of the drums. It feels thicker in a good way, so that's why I love it. This True Iron. And then also we add a little bit more of another saturation using these Verve. I don't know how to say it. The Verve analog machines from UAD. So this one in Sweden mode, without. With. Yeah, so we want to make the drum sounds more exciting, and then it goes to this SSL bus compressor too. Here I use 4:1 ratio, slowest attack and fastest release, and internal sidechain. So I want the low end not to trigger compressor too much. So I want it to be a little bit relaxed, so it only react to the frequency above 123. So let's hear it without. With. Yeah, so you can hear the drums get more glued again. So this trick, the saturation also helps the transient a little bit more controlled, and we got the advantage of a glue, and also this compressor keeps everything together like a belt, so you can hear the groove, all the elements moving together. So yeah, the final thing here on the drums bus is another clipper. So I love to use this clipper on any percussive elements just to make sure that we control the dynamics. So the final limiter in mastering uh, is not going to work hard. So it's gonna be more relaxed. So we have controlled the peak, the dynamic range on the individual level. So we went surgically into all the individual tracks, and also on the bus I put this safe net, limiters, clipper, and final clipper on the drums bus just to catch those peak. So I will change the mode here. We can view the narrow mode in this PreSonus. So let's check out the peak to RMS meter here. So it's peaking around -8 to -7. And the RMS level stays around -20 dBFS. So yeah, that's how I mix drums. So I want to keep the dynamics in check because drums have the most energy and dynamic range. We feel the groove from the drums, we feel the punch, the drive to feel the song's energy comes from the drums. So I love to keep the energy intact in drums, but without those wild peak. So yeah, that's how I control the drums dynamics. Let's go to the bass. Here we got synth bass and real bass. So the synth comes first. Yeah, that's a synth, and this is a real bass. Yeah, nice tone. So on the synth, I think I just use this Pro Q3 to shape the synth to sit better with the rest of the instruments and the vocals, and put limiter there to keep the dynamics in check. So generally, we do not want the low end to be really fluctuating and too dynamic. You want it to be in control. So I love to use limiter for that task. And for the real bass, I use True Iron. Yeah, just to give it more color before I use another processing. And here I use it's Philly Q from UAD, adding a bit of sub bass and cut some of the low mids and add more high, mid, and treble. And then it goes to this compressor from UAD LA2. This one sounds a bit warmer than the other type of the LA2A from UAD. And yeah, I think I go with -5 to -7 gain reduction. Let's see. Yeah. Usually that's the sweet spot. So I'll target that first and hear how it sounds. If it sounds good, I'll leave it there. And then last, okay, before the limiter, this is the final adjustment. I think I added this. I added this Pro Q after I hear it interacts with the rest of the instruments and the vocals. So I think I hear a little bit of build up here on the low mid, so I clear it up and cutting some of the frequencies. And the last limiter, so it goes to the same bass bus with the synth. And here I put a tape emulation from UAD. It's Studio A800. I'm using this GP9 with the 15 IPS for the tape speed, and I think I go with just a little bit hot. So let's see the needle. Yeah, so you can see the needle move right around -3 to 0 point. So I just want a bit of juice from this Studer A800, and it sounds cool on bass. And after you add this Studer, I use this track spacer to use it in sidechain mode. So the kick, I send the kick as a sidechain trigger. So whenever the kick plays or the kick hits, the bass duck on only in this range of frequency. So from 0 to around 91. So the bass will be ducked by the kick transient. So yeah, whenever the kick hits the bass only on these areas, it will be ducked a little bit. The cool thing is we can control the attack and release behavior. So it works like a compressor, but it's not a compressor. I think it's like intelligent dynamics processor that can read the trigger, the sidechain input from the external, like from the kick. It can detect the frequencies and just interacts with the control here. So if you wanted to duck everything from 0 Hz to, let's see, maybe around 20, yeah, we can do that also. But it will duck mostly on the area of the kick, so that's why I said it's intelligent. So yeah, I love to use track spacer on everything that I need to be sidechained. And then let's go to guitars. Okay, so here's the guitars. Guitars, we only have 2 tracks here. So what I did is just using this EQ to sculpt the frequencies to make it sit better with the other, and using these waves, CLA3A, and the others is the same. I also use the Pro Q3 and CLA3A. So on the bass, another True Iron, U80 Verve, and Decapitator. So I'm just putting 3 different saturations plugin for guitars. So let's see. Yeah, let's hear it without any processing. It sounds good, but to make it sit, to make them sit better with the rest of the instruments, we need to sculpt the frequencies and control a little bit of the dynamics, and just putting these 3 different of saturation. So here, without the bus processing, yeah, basically this cut will make the guitar sounds brighter, cut on the low mids. And this area on the right guitars, I feel like a bit harsh. So I just use this dynamic EQ cut, only active when there is build up here. Yeah. Okay. So the compressor, the left. Yeah, basically same with the LA2A. I always aim around -5 to -7 gain reduction, and then the saturation from True Iron. Let's see. Yeah, you can hear it. It sounds thicker, but not muddying it up. So I love the saturation from the True Iron. Subtle, but you can hear the difference. And from the UAD Verve to make it a little bit warmer. Yeah, so we can still hear the air or the brightness of the guitar, but with a bit more relaxed sounds. So yeah, it sounds warmer already using this Verve, and I add this decay beater on parallel around 70%. So before, after. Yeah, to make it more warmer, but we can still hear the brightness of the guitar. So I think I add this decay filter to make it a little bit darker, but without using EQ. So that's one of the tricks. If you want darker sounds, but without using EQ, you can use saturation in parallel. Let's hear it with the drums and bass. Alright, so let's go to the piano, string, and synths. Here we got like 4 tracks of it. So we got Yamaha grand piano and the strings, string ensemble, and let's see what's this. Alright. So it sounds like flute. I guess it's like a synthesizer, maybe. I place it into these piano, string, and synths folder groups. So yeah, on Yamaha grand piano, I just use this EQ to clean up the low mid just a little bit, not too crazy. Adding compression, touch of compression. Yeah, so on the hardest hit, it only reduced 3 dB. So it's not too crazy. We still want to hear the dynamics of the piano. And this Mach EQ4 to add more air. And it's got a little bit of the 2.5 kilohertz area. So it's not going to mask the vocals. And yeah, the strings. Yeah, it's 10 dB of 8 kilohertz and cut at 400 hertz. I think it sounds dark by itself. After. Yeah, just adding air for the strings, and here another strings. Yeah, it sounds more like violin ensemble. So I just use Soothe to make it sound warmer, and here I use UAD to add around 10K boost with wide bandwidth, and also at the same time I attenuate on the 10K. So it's going to add air without harshness. So usually when we use this mode, like 10K of boost and 10K of attenuation, we got a bit of cut around 2K areas, 2 to 2.5 to 2. Yeah, I think that's like 2K to 2.5 kilohertz. So that's a bit of cut here if we activate this attenuation. So we got more of brightness without the harshness. And another pull tag to cut boxy area on 700, and just touch off a 1.5K. And I use the saturation from Saturn. Yeah, I guess that's it. This another EQ, I think it's just for like monitoring the, yeah, I think it's just visualizing. It helps me to identify if there's any problem. So it it does nothing. And last, this RCOM, it's really versatile. We can use it on like everything. It sounds really good. And last one, the flute-like sound synthesizers. I use True Iron and just minimal treatment. Just to tame a little bit of the high end. And on the bass, another True Iron. So yeah, you can see I use almost on everything the True Iron. So it also helps. It will help to tie everything together, to glue everything together. So like in mixing, we want everything to have their own clarity. You want to hear everything. You want everything to sit on their own frequency spectrum, on their own phase. But we also want everything to sounds glued. We want everything to be mixed, right? We don't want to like separate everything. We want that separation, but we also want the glue. So this saturation, the same type of saturation on every tracks will help to tie everything together. So yeah, that's on the piano and strings. On the brass section, on its individual tracks, I didn't do anything. So I just go straight to the bass using this verve. The EQ is just cut around 500 hertz, and then compressor, the LA2, mix tool for gain. I just use this gain knob here, and last I put the reverb Avax from the U80. It's Hitsville reverb chambers. I use it. I put it right inside the insert and use it as a barrel. You can see here, I'm using it like around 15% of the reverb. So yeah, before, let's hear, before the processing. So that's raw, and this is after the processing. Yeah. So let's have a listen of all the instruments without the vocals right here. Okay, so let's go to the vocals. This is the last piece of the tracks here. So yeah, that's my workflow. I usually deal with the drums first to control the dynamics, especially sculpt the tone to make it sounds a bit closer to the final product. And we can do a bit of adjustment later when we hear it in context with the others. So after the drums, I'll go to the bass, guitars, and yeah, just like this. I put everything in order of my workflow. Also, the color code, it's very important for me. So I'll just know when I want to, let's say I want to see the drums, I can just go to this blue color because I know the blue is drums, and so on. So green for bass, yellow for guitars. But that's just me. Some engineers doesn't use color coding, but they will use this in order of how they work. So yeah, that's drums, bass, guitars, piano, strings, synths, brass. If there's any sound effects, I'll put sound effects before the vocals. So we got none of that, and we can go straight to the vocals. Here, lead vocals, I'm using one bus for these all tracks. Let's see, we got lead vocals here, and this is the effects. We did it manually for the delay, so like copy and paste the delay, and another lead vocals on the different parts of the song. And here's the background vocals, so they're doing like a chorus. So for the vocals, let's go to the lead verse, and I only used yesers on the lead vocals channel. And here with the delay effects, it got special treatment. We want it to sound. We don't want it to clash with the lead vocals, so it should be like a supporting effects. So we want to make it on its own space. So I sculpt the low end and the high end and make it just a little bit pop around 1.5K, and compress it, and then use a stereo widening from GST here, Sidewinder 2, and put the reverb on its own insert. So yeah, I think that's it. And for this different part of the lead vocals, another de-essers, a little bit of EQ, and another Sidewinder. And also, yeah, the same, de-esser, Pro Q3, de-esser, Pro Q3. And on the vocals, lead vocals bus, everything here on lead vocals is routed to this lead vocals bus. So to glue all of the elements of the lead, I use this Fairchild compressor first before going into another processing. And I use this SSL channel stereo. I just really so used to it. Sometimes I just want to focus on the how it sounds, so I don't want to be distracted by the visual. So like if you're using Pro Q3, you will see visualizer. It helps you. I think visualizers sometimes can help us to confirm what we hear. So if you don't want to be bothered by this visual, you can turn it off. Here, we got the settings. So yeah, sometimes I just love to use these knobs so I can focus on sculpting the sounds, and it goes to the CLA76 to make it sounds a bit more aggressive. But in this black mode, the blacky one, it sounds a bit more relaxed than the bluey. The blue sounds more aggressive. So for this song, I don't want it to sound aggressive. I just want it to sound to have more energy, but not that aggressive. Then another de-essers after the CLA, and this is saturation from Soundtoys Decapitator. So let's hear it.
When we fell in love, girl, I knew.
Without processing.
When we fell in love, girl, I knew. When we fell in love, girl, I knew. When we fell in love, girl, I knew. It will last through time.
Yeah, I forgot to mention that I also use the compressor in these channel strips. So the Fairchild, it's barely moving, right? It's barely compressing, and maybe I just use it to have the tone out of it. And it goes to this SSL channel stereo, compress it a bit aggressive, and then goes to this.
When we fell in love, girl, I knew.
So yeah, the CL76, it catches those peaks after the compression from the SSL channel stereo. The CL76 catches those peaks, so it moves around -3, I guess.
When we fell in love,
2 to -3.
girl, I knew.
Attack a bit fast. Release the fastest release. Its ratio only 4 to 1. And this is.
When we fell in love, girl, I knew.
Yeah, it's a safe net to keep the S's out of our way. And then the capitator,
When we fell in love, girl, I knew.
it makes the vocal sounds more full. It makes it fuller, richer. Yeah, for the bass, all of the lead vocals get another true iron. And this is the multiband compressor from Waves. So typically I will always use linear multiband compressor from Waves on the vocals bus because sometimes we have that build-up, especially when we get all the vocals with the background vocals, and with this many background vocals, you can see it here. So this we got a lot of layers, so we might have some build-ups, and this multiband compressor helps us to tame the build-up on certain frequencies.
Just one more chance to prove to you. Let me make sweet love to you. Baby, let me do it. Let me get you my love. Let my heart feel only when I'm thinking of. We'll make sweet love.
Yeah, so it helps us to make it sounds like a record. So last on the vocals bus, we got L2 Ultra Maximizer. This one keeps every vocals in check, so it's not if you got element that's really loud, it's not gonna jump out of everything. So here the vocals bus and the instrumental bus. I also put another track spacer. So I love to use this just to make sure that this area for the vocals carved by the track spacer. So we got only this space for the vocals. Yeah, its solo is just 9%, but we got more clarity for the vocals. And yeah, I think that's it. Then it's for the ambience, I use Valhalla Room, like I showed you. So the vocal plate, I use the Valhalla Vintage Verb. And for snare plate, I use this U80 snare plate. Yeah, that's how I mix the song, how it helps. See you later.